Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss the 1932 version of The Mummy, starring Boris Karloff, David Manners, Zita Johann, Edward Van Sloan, Arthur Byron, and Bramwell Fletcher, and directed by Carl Freund. Forgive me if I said that wrong. So, okay, I know about this movie, but I've never seen it until tonight. And unfortunately, I've seen the Tom Cruise one, and I have seen all the Brendan Fraser ones, but none of the originals I've seen. And this should be an adventure. Let's get into the movie, shall we? An ancient Egyptian priest called Imhotep, played by Boris Karloff, is revived with an archaeological expedition in 1921, led by Sir Joseph Wemple, played by Arthur Byron, finds Imhotep's mummy. Imhotep had been mummified alive for attempting for resurrection his forbidden lover, the princess Anek-Isen-Amun. Forgive me if I said that wrong, but I'm going to be calling it that for the rest of the show, which is kind of a funky name, but I'm not going to say why because it sounds racist. As soon as the mummy gets out of its tomb, I thought, what the hell? But it was scary if it was 1932, but it's not 1932, so to me, it's cheesy. Despite the warning of his friend Dr. Muller, played by Edward Van Sloan, Sir Joseph's assistant Ralph Norton, played by Bramwell Fletcher, reads aloud an ancient life-giving scroll, the Scroll of Thoth, which sounds Egyptian for bizarre reasons. Imhotep escapes from the archaeologists, taking the Scroll of Thoth, I don't know if I'm saying that right, so please forgive me for that, and prowls Kairos, the the modern reincarnation, and the next Esenemon. And honestly, this whole scene was cheesy, not scary, but I appreciate how scary it was for the time, but it's not scary to me. 10 years later, Imhotep is masquerading as a modern Egyptian named Ardeth Bey, and as soon as I saw his face, I knew it was Imhotep. It calls upon Sir Joseph's son, Frank, played by David Manners, and Professor Pearson, played by Leonard Moody. I don't know if I'm saying any of these names right. He shows them where to dig up to find Anek-Isen-Amun's tomb. And I know where this movie is going after this movie because it's becoming pretty cliche. The archaeologists find the tomb, give the mummy and the treasures to the Cairo Museum, and thank Ardeth Bey for the information. And despite this being a very short movie, I can predict the plot from 2 miles away like a snap of a finger. Imhotep encounters Helen Grosvenor, played by Zita Johann, a woman bearing on a striking resemblance to the princess, believing her to be Anek-Isen-Amun's reincarnation. He attempts to kill her with the intention of mummifying her and resurrecting her and making her his bride. She is saved when she remembers her past life and prays to the goddess Isis to save her. The statue of Isis raises its arm and emits a beam of light that destroys the Scroll of Thoth, thereby reducing Imhotep to dust. Frank calls Helen back to the world of the living, whilst the Scroll of Thoth burns, and thanks to the Brendan Fraser films, it's not a mystery how all this turned out. By the end of the day, it's predictable. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 5.9 out of 10. This was a cheesy movie and also predictable, and that the mystery was completely ruined by the 1999 film, which I've seen before I got to this film, which I'll get to at some point in this series, but I did appreciate it for its time, and that's the best recommendation I could give this movie at this point. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next week I will be back with The Mummy's Hand from 1940, and until next time, it's time to crucify the mummy.